Welcome to Breaking Banks, the #1 global fintech radio show and podcast. I'm Brett King.
And I'm Jason Henricks. Every week since 2013, we explore the personalities, startups, innovators, and industry players driving disruption in financial services.
From incumbents to unicorns, and from cutting-edge technology to the people using it to help create a more innovative, inclusive, and healthy financial future. I'm JP Nichols, and this is Breaking Banks.
Welcome back to Breaking Banks. I am your host, Brett King. Well, we headed down to my hometown today of Bangkok, and we're going to talk to someone plugged into the Thai tech scene there. But we also want to get into what's happening in fintech and sort of VCs. Interesting economy. You know, it's now, if you guys aren't familiar with Thailand, it's now one of the premier health tourism destinations in the world. Obviously, you've got a big lifestyle movement here. Digital nomad visas recently come out here, so a lot of people are looking to live and work in Thailand. So it's an interesting destination. I think I've explained why I live here in Thailand, at least part-time. But I thought today we'd dive into the Thai tech scene and get into a bit of what's happening with, the Thai economy and the success of PromptPay and some other things. So for that purpose, I'm inviting from Rise and CX Ventures, Kid Pacharianon from Rise and CX Ventures. Kid, welcome to Breaking Banks, and I'm glad to have you here.
Thank you, Brett. Wow, this is super exciting to be on your podcast for the first time. And yeah, definitely there's more things to share.
Perfect. Well, first of all, for those unfamiliar, where does Thailand sort of sit as an economy in Southeast Asia in comparison to, other countries in the region?
Yeah, I think that's a great starting point, right? Because Thailand is just a small country. We have only 60 plus million people, right? In the 600 million economy in Southeast Asia, right? And I think we are in the very kind of like pivotal point, for the country as well. Many of you might know that we just got a new prime minister, a couple of weeks back, right?
Yeah, that was a bit of a surprise.
Right, and then also like our economy is kind of like slowly recover. Probably we are the slowest one to recover from COVID, right? In 1920, right? So that's
because Thailand took a big hit, but for tourism particularly, right? Yeah,
and tourism is already 17% of our GDP, right? So that's kind of like huge hit, which is why it's kind of like slowly recover.
Very interesting. And where does Thailand sit in terms of relationship to China in the region from a geopolitical perspective?
I think we are in the best spot in this region, and also the region is also in the very good spot, right? Because we kind of like tie with China, we also tie with the US. Even though for Thai economy, but in particular, we have some trade deficit with China these days. We export a lot more to the US, but then we have a trade deficit, surplus in the US side, deficit on the China side. So so that's why. I mean, that's what's going on at the moment. But apart from that, I think if I were to share more about the kind of like Thai economy at the moment, right? It's also very challenging because I think what we are facing right now is what we call demographic headwinds, right? So we are one of the country that is entering aging society even faster than anyone else in Southeast Asia. And that demographic headwinds, when we compare to ourselves to Vietnam, to Indonesia, kind of like to the Philippines, very challenging. And what is challenging is that in the next 2-3 years, before 2030, we have dead people. I mean, more than the new birth.
Oh, the
so
death
that's
rate.
Kind of like the death is kind of like going down, right? I mean, it's going up while the birth rate is going down, and it's crossed.
Right. So it means you're going to be so you're getting, and this is not an uncommon problem, but the Thai economy is going to start. I mean, the Thai population is going to start to shrink, just as China has recently. This is a common problem around the world. In fact, people like Elon Musk and others are talking about this, the risk to humanity. It may not be from overpopulation. It may be that we burn out and we are not growing our population anymore and start to shrink. And that, that only ends one way, right? So it's a pretty interesting problem. But why do you think birth rates are not catching up with the death rates? Is it are less Thai people having kids these days? Is it economically more challenging?
Yeah, I think let me jump into one part of this. Yes, everybody kind of like many countries facing the same problem, right? But Thailand, we have another problem, which is kind of like we getting old but not getting rich enough. Yeah, like in other country, when you compare us to China, the GDP per capita of China is even more than us, right? Or even a country like in Southeast Asia, like Singapore, kind of like also has kind of like probably almost tenfold than what we have today, right? So that's the big challenge. And why people are aging kind of like so fast? Yeah, the first reason, as you said, is about fertility rate. When we look at the fertility rate, right, before 1975, Thai women give birth around 6 birth per woman, right? Yeah, but now, now less than 2. Yeah. So that's,
and it's got to be the replacement rate is 2.4, I think, isn't it?
Yeah,
the
I think
replacement
it's
birth
around that
rate
number.
globally. Yeah, I think it's something like that. So
Yeah,
so
I mean, in Asia,
it's a common problem.
Right. But then I think Thailand, I think we are now, right now, we are already lower than 2. Yeah, from 6 already lower than 2. So that's so now that's why it's kind of like the big problem for us.
And what about there's a lot of youth. It's a very youthful market, but fairly close to full employment, I understand, right?
Yeah, and if you look at the youth and the working age, right? When we talk about the working age, we say from age 15 to 60. If we use the year kind of like 2015 as an index year, so right now in Southeast Asia, kind of like we break down the country into 2 groups, right? So the group that is still producing, kind of like the working population is much more than 2015. There's countries like Malaysia, Indonesia, Vietnam, right? Where Thailand, we already in the same group with Singapore, China, right? South Korea, right? Which is kind of like already we have less people than 2015, right? And then if you project this into the future, into 2050, so Thailand, from 100 people today, Thailand and China are going to have around 77 people. Wow. So that's like almost 30% drop, right, in the working population. So that's why I think like we need to change. Something like
but
this.
I mean, to Thailand's credit, they're trying to attract a lot of new talent into the country. I think that's positive. A lot of people want to come here because the quality of life is so good. It's why I came to Thailand. But what about the startup scene? What about the sort of innovation, investments? Where are they going into? Is there a big venture capital community here? Is there a big startup community? Can you give us a bit of a lay of the land?
Right. So Thailand is a very interesting kind of like market in the sense that we have a lot more corporate venture capital than the venture capital. Yeah. So probably we have like 5 venture capital versus 50, like the corporate venture capital. Yeah. So that's what we have. I think if I telling the story about the startup scene, I think it kickstart when we start the startup scene around 2012, right? Probably 12 years ago. In these 12 years ago, I think we passed so many, like around 4 waves of the disruption or startup scene, right? So the first wave start when kind of like the company like UKB. I'm sure you have heard of, Moo, right? Natterwood, right? So got 2 million investment from like the CVC arm of the largest telco in Thailand, right? And then after that, there's become what we call app economy. Everybody producing some app. Right now we have too many apps, right? So we just use like the top 10. right? And then this is the first wave. The second wave, I think, is kind of like 3-4 years after that, right? So we start to have kind of like more e-commerce. So e-commerce is populating like Lazada, like Shopee. People start to shop online. Then we have the fintech economy. Yeah, you're familiar with the company like through C2P, right? The payment gateway. So those businesses are growing up.
And
those kind of 10 years ago.
Not to mention the fintech stuff, but that of course we now have the QR-based PromptPay, which is a bank-to-bank and person-to-person initiative across Thailand, and it's doing very, very well.
Yeah, that's an example for Singapore government launching Pump Now, right? Or we now Thai people be able to transfer the money to Singapore people for free, right? And then vice versa. And then we do the same thing for the people in Hong Kong as well. So that's how this idea of QR code payment is so popular. Yeah, but then that's kind of like the example of kind of like the second wave, right? The third wave, I think we're thinking about kind of like those super app, right? Ride hailing, right? The super app, kind of like social commerce that popping up in the past 5 years, right? So that's the wave that we are in right now. But then, if you ask me, kind of like, and what is the next wave? What is the future of kind of like the Thai economy and also Southeast Asia economy? I think it's going to be deep tech. Now we are already experiencing AI that come into play, right? But then, apart from that, I think right now we have all apps already. But the next phase should be deep tech, AI, the for sure, blockchain, biotech, right? Robotics, right? So those are the things that I think is going to be the next wave. That's coming after these three waves.
Fair enough. So, what are some of the notable Thai startups that have had some success, either locally or been able to go offshore, that you can talk about?
Right. I think when we talk about kind of like Thai startup, the first one in Thailand going to be Flash Express, right? Which is the like logistic kind of like last mile delivery by motorbike, right? So that's founded by Komsan Lee, which is a Thai Chinese, right? So they're doing okay in the past few years, expanding to other countries like Philippines, Malaysia, right? So that's our first kind of like Thai unicorn. The second one, which is now kind of like a bit like challenging, to be full disclosure, I'm also the investor as well, is a BitCup, right? Yeah, right, which is
the biggest exchange in Bitcoin exchange here too, right?
Yeah.
And we had a very famous deal that was going to go down with SCB, but when the FTX thing exploded, it sort of got put on hold. But certainly BitCub, and we should get the founder of BitCub on the show. Actually, I've met him a couple of times. Really, really interesting and very, doing some great things. Clearly, like we have Binance in the region as well, but BitCub's a really respected player in the region.
Yeah, as they have kind of like the 96% market share, right? So regulated. Yeah, 96% market share is huge. Yeah, so that's kind of like the second one, for Thailand, right? If you will, right? And then the third one, kind of like probably if you call that True Money is a startup. Yeah, sometimes people call that a startup, right? So then that's claimed to be
it's a startup like Visa and MasterCard are startups. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's probably if we want to call it the third one, this is the third one. And then we also have the one that is like Lyman and Wong Night, right? So so another kind of like food delivery company, like that the merge between Line, which is the largest messaging platform in the country, and Wong Night, which is the kind of like the restaurant review site. Yeah, that is getting super popular, right? And,
I use Food Panda when I'm here.
Why? Yeah, why not like Grab or
I do
like
Grab sometimes as well.
Right?
Yeah, Grab as well, and then an occasional Line Man. It's really an interesting. Like, Thailand was also quite advanced. Like obviously we see the mobile commerce business is really bedded in here. QR is very popular. It's doing well. You have some great homegrown sort of delivery companies, things like that. But Thailand was also one of the first countries in the world to really get into Facebook commerce. So how is social media impacting the Thai economy, or how does that used these days?
No, I think if you look at the mobile penetration rate, right? I think it's kind of like 150%, which mean everybody kind of like having more than one mobile phone. Me myself, I have two, right? And that's kind of like starting from that, we have many apps in our phone, right? And then these app in our phone be able to let us shopping easier. So the kids and also kind of like university student nowadays, many people use Instagram kind of like much more than
Yeah.
Facebook, right? So yeah, so then that's an opportunity.
And is
for
there
the seller.
commerce built around
Yeah.
Instagram here?
Yeah, I think that the people shopping, for example, my wife, this is normal for Thai people, right? That's okay. Your wife shopping, but then she liked this browse, right? And then she captured the
She saw it
screen,
on Insta.
send you,
Yeah.
send you the this browse is so beautiful, right? And then also send the bank account of the seller, and then you transfer using your mobile payment and PromptPay, and then capture the screen of the receipt. And then you send it back to your wife. Your wife then say, "Hey, send me the product, right, to the seller."
You're living in the 21st century, brother. This is that's good. So tell me a bit about what you're doing personally. What's happening with CX and Rise?
Yeah, so I think just bridging, right? What we see from the big trend, right? That the next wave going to be the deep tech, right? So I think that's why 6 years ago we embarked on a journey that we want to help the Thai and Southeast Asia economy. Our mission is always to help drive 1% of GDP for the entire Southeast Asia, and the only way to do that, right, is to kind of like bring the startup to working with the big corporate here in this region. Yeah, because here in this region, I think it's not easy because I born and raised here. Right? I see like the many waves of like company in the past that they try to disrupt the big company. I thought, okay, it should be better to kind of like collaborate, not compete, right? So that's why, and because of the big company here, most of the time, they not be able to produce new innovation themselves, right? Yeah, so if they'll be able to leverage startup from anywhere in the world, so this is a big market for them. In 2018, we decide, okay, we will set up our VC fund in the US in Silicon Valley. Yeah, at that time I went to Stanford for my exec kind of like MBA, right?
Yep.
And then, but the goal is not just to study, but the goal, is to set up this VC fund.
Okay.
We raised the capital from the listed company here, right? Many big company.
But gave them a Silicon Valley presence.
Yeah, and then we helping them scouting for the technology that they cannot be sought here, right?
Right.
And then after that, when they're ready, we bring the tech company from the US back to Thai and Southeast Asian economy to collaborate with our investor. Yeah, so that's what we've been doing kind of like in the past 6 years, and it's doing well. So we have like some of the case study that already come here. For example, like one company that we brought is called Quinn, QVIN. So Quinn is a Menlo Park-based company. What they do, they produce menstrual pad for women.
Okay.
And women, it doesn't need to draw the blood from the hospital anymore. So they use the menstrual pad.
Oh, yeah. That makes sense.
Normally, they throw away every month, right? Yeah. Now they can pull out the
That's pretty
strip
interesting
from the pad.
data point. Yeah. Like why hasn't someone thought of that sooner? That's brilliant, actually. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you could
luckily,
use it as a regular testing. You're getting monthly testing or whatever. Yeah. That's smart.
Yeah, because when you develop the disease, right, like diabetes, it's not going to develop in a day or two. It's kind of like
exactly. You need
have this
bloods are the
level.
best data you can get on that stuff. In terms of the tech scene, you talked about AI a bit earlier. You alluded to it, but what's the concentration or focus on artificial intelligence like at the moment?
Right. I think we spend around kind of like invest around like 15%, like to 20% of our kind of like asset under management to the AI company, right? Or at
Okay.
least AI component in the company.
Yeah.
And we're looking at the industry that is fit with Southeast Asia. You think which industry kind of like fit, right? So first, definitely first and foremost is agri-tech. We love agri-tech because agri-tech is agriculture is a
Yep.
backbone for this region.
Yeah. I
Thailand,
mean, Thai has
like
big agriculture business, right?
70% of our people are farmers, right? So,
Yeah.
so then that's
So it's the
huge. So
backbone of the economy. Yeah.
right, we're looking at agri-tech. So that's the first one. The second one that I think is very interesting is the medical. Just you mentioned we are
EdTech.
good
Yeah. Yeah.
medical tourism, right? But then, yeah,
Yeah.
because we have the hospital that like five-star hotel, right?
Yes, and they've
And then
invested in the cutting edge technology. In fact, I saw a Thai startup at TechSource the other week, which is
yeah,
doing
yeah,
AI based breast cancer diagnosis with a 98% accuracy rate. That's significantly better than doctors. So that's a homegrown tech company. But yeah, no, there's some great stuff happening here in the
right.
medtech.
And the last but not least, apart from the like agri-tech, medtech, I think the last one is important for this region is tourism tech, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so which means like we don't people to just rip off from the taxi and when they first land, or they not get a diarrhea when they go to the street food. How they be able to improve experience
Yeah.
end to end, right? So that's something that I think like Thai and
Interesting.
Southeast Asia economy needs that.
It's really interesting conversation. What do you think? I always like to do this on the futurist, but let's do this now. Projecting out, 20 years. What do you think Thailand's going to be like? Compare it to today. What do you think will have changed?
I think this is again very inflection point, right? In many sense. So first, if you're looking at kind of like startup scene, so in these 2 to 3 years from now, if Thai startup going to go explode, it need to be to have a lot of IPOs. So right now we see some company like startup that go IPO already in Thai stock exchange. Namely, for example, like the Skill Lane. Have you heard Skill Lane?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like the learning platform, right? That people can learn anything, just like Udacity or Coursera, right? But
Yep.
It's kind of like B2B and B2C. That's one that is going IPO very soon, right? So that's and we expect more, right? If we see this a lot more startup that could be able to go IPO, they don't need to be a unicorn. They can go IPO here, and an investor can exit, right? So that's gonna build a new wave of investor that coming in. As apart from the like startup scene, if I looking at it broader, I think another thing that need to change is education system, right? Yeah,
But
because
I
right
think
now,
I think
I
that's
mean,
true of the world. Especially with AI
yeah, but
coming in, right?
right, but Thailand, if you look at our PISA score, we need to improve it quite a lot,
Right.
right?
Right.
We are we deteriorating. So
But
that's not good
I mean,
for
I
the
think
country.
I think there's an opportunity here to reinvent education, particularly. And if one of the benefits of Thailand is, you can, you have historical places, and there's ways to educate kids on the ground, at certain locations and things like that. And I think there's, I mean, I think Thailand's going to be an experience economy in the future, personally. But
Yeah, if we can turn our like tourism industry to become more
yeah,
sustainable, right, and then
yes,
more value added, not just destroying everything and burn it down like with more tourists, right?
yeah,
So that's something that I think the country need to
yeah. We
adapt.
need autonomous drivers to reduce the road fatalities. That's true. But Kid, look, this has been a really interesting conversation. I thank you for giving us some of your time and your valuable insights. I'm very happy to share my adopted home with the rest of the world. So, we go out to 180 countries. So if you're listening, you've learned a bit more about Thailand today. That's great. Where can people find out a bit more about what you're doing, Kid? And if they're interested in supporting like the fintech space or yourself, what would you suggest in terms of getting into the tech startup space here?
Yeah, no, just reach out to me and then I'll be the gateway, right? So lead us to my
Fantastic.
thinking, so for Rise, for CX, and definitely in the next 2 weeks, we have a corporate innovation summit coming up, right?
Yes.
The Asia largest experiential conference where people can just jump in and then do 60 workshops in 2 days. So
Awesome.
so happy to have you, Brett, as well. Let me know if you're
Awesome.
around.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you. And that's it for this segment. We're going to take a quick break, and hopefully we'll get back to Thailand another time. But Kid, thanks for joining us. You're listening to Breaking Banks, and we'll be right back.
You know what season it is? Well, it's not just pumpkin spice season, it's conference season. And there's a new show to add to your list. The AI Native Banking and Fintech Conference is happening October 7th in Salt Lake City, and Breaking Banks is proud to be a media partner. Our listeners get a 25% discount when they register at conferences.springlabs.com and use the code SpringLabsXBreakingBanks. Yeah, I didn't write that code. The link and the code are in the show notes, though, and this is an outstanding conference with an outstanding set of speakers. It should not be missed.
Well, I am in Saudi Arabia today for what I think is probably the largest Fintech conference in the Middle East right now, Fintech 24. And the talk of this event, obviously there's a lot of really interesting players here. We caught up with Lita Gliffitz, Gela Boscovich, Simon Taylor was here from Brain Food, and we're really sort of learning about what's happening in the Saudi market. Incredible growth in fintech. The fact that you've got such a huge event here, my guess is there's probably 10,000 people at this event.
Sure.
But we are here today at the booth and the stand for Barq, which is the newest wallet and challenger bank in the Middle East, but certainly in Saudi, established by my good friend Ahmed Al-Nazi, who was, of course, heavily involved in a previous iteration of a very successful wallet ecosystem here with STC Pay. But we have one of the team with us today to tell us about the progress. Barq just hit an amazing milestone of their first 1 million customers in 21 days. We're now just in the second month of operation, and looks like they're going to get close to 2 million. So this is very exciting. Let me introduce you to Saad. Yes. Saad, please, for our listeners, can you introduce yourself? Tell us about your role at Barq.
Absolutely. So my name is Saad Al-Mohanna. I'm the Chief Business Officer at Barq. It's an exciting journey. We started 4 weeks ago, as you mentioned. We reached to over 1 million users as of now. We have moved over more than 1 billion Saudi riyal.
Wow.
It's the progress is happening extremely super fast, and the appetite to our product in the kingdom is extremely high. I think that the nature of what we do is basically helping the entire youth to do and to deal with their financials in a quick manner, which is helping the entire ecosystem.
So you're really targeting the younger people?
Well, in Saudi, younger people represent more than 70% of the
very
entire
young population.
population. So by nature, they represent the majority of our audience. So yes, part of what we do is offering.
And of course, mobile banking has been very successful here. Mobile penetration is off the charts across the Middle East. You go to Dubai, Qatar. You generally see people with 2 phones. And using it all the time. But let's go back a little bit. Tell me about how Barq came to be. What's the foundation story? And when did you start planning this? Obviously, the last 4 weeks has been great, or 5-6 weeks. But where did it all start?
Well, we applied for our license a year and a half ago. It was basically we got our.
And it's a digital banking license and payments
it's
license.
It's an EMI license, Electronic Money Institute license.
Okay.
We applied for it in the beginning of last year. We got the principal approval in Q1 last year. It took us less than a year to materialize the license. As you know, you normally get the...
Yeah, it normally takes years.
Absolutely. And you basically get the principal approval, then you work on the infrastructure, on building the team, on building the technology, integrating with the ecosystem. Then you basically get the final license once you're done. We got that in February. We start on the family and friend on April. On April we start with the employees only, then we start in May with the family and friend, and then beginning of August we opened
the public launch.
Yes.
Yeah. So we're just coming up on what, about 6 weeks now live?
6 weeks, less than 6 weeks.
35
days.
35 days. Yeah. And what's the customer count right now?
So we have more than 1.5 million.
Yeah.
So
that's
since
incredible.
The announcement, we have another 500,000.
Yeah, that's incredible. That's incredible. So this makes Barq the fastest growing private wallet and challenger bank in the world today, outside of China, at least.
That's exciting.
Very impressive.
Yeah.
You know, we can compare Revolut or, even Nubank, which is the poster child with 100 million customers now. Nubank didn't have the sort of growth that you guys have, so the potential is huge.
Absolutely.
Absolutely huge. So from a technology perspective, tell me a little bit about how your platform differentiates from a traditional mobile banking experience in Saudi.
Excellent. So first, as you mentioned, in Saudi, it's definitely a tech-savvy country. The population is extremely tech-savvy. Most of the population, they have access to the internet 24/7. They have smartphone, which help in that front. On another front, we have a very good infrastructure in terms of onboarding. We as a financial sector enjoy a very robust infrastructure, which enable us to do the onboarding extremely fast, and you can get rich details about your customers on the go.
So KYC and so forth, that infrastructure is quite developed here?
Very, very well developed. I would say we worked in different countries before, but
is there a digital identity schema in Saudi?
True, yes. We have multiple systems, which is basically complement each other. So you start with an AFAD system, which is basically the authentication layer provided by our partner Ilm, which is basically give you the ability to authenticate and to fetch whatever details related to the customer after their consent. And you can get up to the financial income details, the name and address. All of these details can happen within one click. So this is in one part, the infrastructure is helping us a lot. On the other part, back to your question about what differentiates Barq to the other players in the ecosystem, I would say if you take it product by product, maybe the picture will be a bit clear. Now, if you take a product like international remittance, where we have, in the beginning, while you're trying to execute a transaction, we have integrated with multiple entities where we ensure the details that you're providing are correct. So basically, if the account is not it's dormant or it does not exist, we give you a notification on the go to avoid, because if you look at the rejection rate in remittance.
So you have sort of like a progressive KYC model, which is sort of adaptive depending on behavior and things like that.
True,
does that sound correct?
True. That's on the KYC front. Now, in terms of...
and behavioral as well, right? Yeah.
Absolutely. And even when you transact, we are validating whatever information that the customer use, because we want to reduce the possibility of rejection rate within those transactions.
So there's a lot of foreign workers in Saudi, particularly with all of the infrastructure projects and so forth going on right now. So we've got workers from India, Bangladesh, Pakistan, Nepal, China, and so forth here in the region. So remittance is a big part of the business?
It is one of the major part of the business. And yes, we have almost 13 million expats living in Saudi, which is almost more than 1/3 of the entire population in the country. Yeah. And we're the third and sometimes second ranked as the sending countries around the globe. Yeah. So we're one of the biggest. So one of the features that we're giving, we are providing customers with a service where we ensure the information that they're providing is accurate to basically reduce the possibility of rejection rate. Now, even when it comes to the transaction, we have built an orchestration layer where we route the transaction to the best route.
The optimal remittance channel. Yes. So you've got MoneyGram, these different partnerships.
Yes.
I know you're also working with PhonePay in Nepal and things like this. So you can choose the right rail at the right time for remittance, right?
Absolutely. And it's not only about pricing, but also about what is the quickest path to your transaction. About the price, it's always about, definitely, we're talking about a price-sensitive segment, so the price does matter, and it's part of the orchestration.
Yeah, especially like if you've got a Filipino worker overseas or whatever.
If we deep dive to another product like card, so we are providing customers with the possibility of issuing card on the go, so they can simply issue a digital card and add it to their
Apple Pay, or
Samsung Pay or whatever wallet on the go, and they can even order a plastic card as well, and which will be delivered to them in 3 days. And for the frequent travelers, we are providing a zero FX card that will give you always the best rate if you compare it with other cards that you can see in the market. Our card will provide you with an excellent rate. Even from user experience perspective as well, we are providing the user with certain tools where you can manage your expenses. You can put some limitation around certain industries. You can put, a limitation on a card, on a particular card.
So this means that you can sort of configure Sharia compliance and all of that in your own environment if you want, right?
Or even behavioral related. Yeah?
Right.
If you want,
you say I don't want to go out so much. I don't want to spend money on, and your app can remind you. Hang on, you put a restriction on eating out.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
Absolutely. So
very cool.
Some of it is related to behavior, and some other related to whatever control that you want to build for your own card. So we're building it in a way where we put the customer in the center, where he has a control over his spending. He can put whatever control to his cards or to his wallet.
So from a user experience perspective, not only are you looking at sort of optimal money transmission and things like that, but you're also looking at positive behavioral feedback so that people can be financially healthier over time, yeah?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit more about the tech stack and the technology. You're obviously on the cloud here. Can you talk about which cloud providers you work with?
We're working with multiple. We're working with OCI and we're working with Google.
So if you can hear this right now, we're in the we're out in the desert in Saudi here. Well, actually not. We're in the city area, but the lights just went out in the entire conference hall. So that's why people are clapping, because they just came back on now. So anyway, that was fun.
Yeah. So basically, on the cloud, we're working with 3 different providers. We're working with OCI, as well as Google. Google just started.
Google just is doing a very big Google Cloud initiative here, but with a specific focus on artificial intelligence now in Saudi, right?
True.
Same with Microsoft Azure. So all the major players are coming in here. Even IBM is working on a quantum initiative in Saudi, right?
Which is, to be honest, I think will open opportunities even more for the industry. I think one of the obstacles that we used to have previously was the lack of international players in the cloud system.
Absolutely.
So having them is definitely going to enable a lot of startups to thrive.
Good. Fantastic. All right, so what are the plans for Barq moving forward? Obviously, you've got a lot of expansion happening here in Saudi, but tell us about your plans over the next 6 to 12 months. Your growth is incredible, but where does it go from here?
Well, today our focus is around the consumer, which is basically purely around the individuals for now. And we're launching as well in a month's time, we're launching our corporate
an SME
platform, which will help SMEs to open an account. They can issue a card to their employees. Payroll is part of what we do with
embedded.
SMEs. And even managing some cash management tools like disbursements and cash collection. This is part of what we offer. Especially we're focusing a bit with the shared economy platforms, where we know some of the pains that they're having as of now, where we're solving for some of the issues that they have with their freelancers, with their delivery fleet. So we have a number of projects on that anchor that we want to...
So for people that are sort of listening here, you guys are a wallet, but you're also a challenger bank, right? So you started off with the payments license and so forth, but are you moving into credit offerings and things like that as well?
See, I think for in the eye of the customer, it's always about what is the offering that you have in your platform. Customers, at the end of the day, they don't really, it doesn't matter whether they're dealing with an EMI or a bank. But
they just see you as a bank.
Absolutely. So I think, yes, part of the evolution of any given fintech is basically we always have the dream of...
And you have the option of upgrading the license to a full bank, right?
Absolutely.
Very cool. Well, Saad, it's been a real pleasure. I congratulate you and Ahmed and the team on tremendous success. It's getting news all around the world now. We've seen people in the UK and the US and other places talking about this. We've had some of those people here today, at the event over the last few days. But congratulations on the continued success.
Thank you so much, Barq. It's a pleasure.
If people want to find out more about Barq, where do they go?
Yes, they can go to barq.com. You can see all the...
BARQ, right?
Yes, all the details about the platform. And if they are Saudi citizens, they can download the app and they can enjoy the offering that we have.
Okay, so barq.com, BARQ.com. And Saad, you're the Chief Business Officer, right, for the company. So thank you for spending some time with us, and we wish you all the very best success.
It's a pleasure.
That's it for another week of the world's #1 fintech podcast and radio show, Breaking Banks. This episode was produced by our US-based production team, including producer Lisbeth Severance, audio engineer Kevin Hersham, with social media support from Carlo Navarra and Sylvie Johnson. If you like this episode, don't forget to tweet it out or post it on your favorite social media, or leave us a 5-star review on iTunes, Google Podcasts, Facebook, or wherever it is that you listen to our show. Those actions help other people find our podcast, and in return, that helps us build an audience that can be supported by sponsorship, so we can continue to provide you with our award-winning content every week. Thanks again for joining us. We'll see you on Breaking Banks next week.